Hey guys, so I made a post over on Twitter asking for people to post their Legends related questions in the comments, I guess replies to my tweet. And I'm going to go through and give my answers, my thoughts, my opinions on the different questions that people have for me regarding Legends here. There's going to be another video for Dokkan, so I'm going to make that a separate video. I didn't want to mix them both together because it would just be all over the place. These videos are more so just to be something that you guys have in the background while you're doing something else. Like maybe you're in the shower, you're listening to this. Maybe you're playing another game while you're listening to this. Maybe you're, I don't know, maybe you're working and you're listening to this in the back, like sort of like a podcast format thing here, where there's not much visually going on, but you guys can listen to this while you're doing something else. And because of that reason, I'll actually read the questions out loud, so you don't have to look at the video itself at any point. I'm not entirely sure how Twitter displays the comments, like the order of the comments, but we're just gonna go in the order that it displays them. We have a lot of, I think there's like 1,000 comments on this, so obviously we're not gonna be able to get to every single person's comments here, but we'll do our best here in terms of getting to as many as possible. This video, I don't know how long it's gonna end up being. We'll see. You guys will be able to tell instantly because you can look at how long it is, but we'll see. All right, so the first question here, what would you change in regards to PvP, to mechanics, or even meta? What gimmick do you think this next Ultra will play? Okay, so this is a multifaceted question here. All right, let me just break this down. So what would I change in regards to PvP, mechanics, or even the meta? I'm going to just take this from the PvP mechanic standpoint. I would remove Perfect Vanish. I think Perfect Vanish is a very unhealthy mechanic for the game. I think it breeds other unhealthy play styles. I think one of the reasons why people are so hesitant to attack and to be proactive is because of the existence of Perfect Vanish. And I think the game would be a lot better off without it. Now, obviously, we can't say that for sure because we haven't played the game without Perfect Vanish. Like, Perfect Vanish has always been a thing in the game. So it's tough to really say how the game would shape out without Perfect Vanish in the game. But based off of my experience with the game with Perfect Vanish being in the game since day one, I really don't like the mechanic, and I think the game would be better without it. What gimmick do I think the next Ultra will play? Would we assume this next step is to ignore status debuff / effects? Example, free-to-play Majin Buu ignoring key reduction effects, Piccolo ignoring card destruction effects. Could see Vegeta Blue being an offensive machine and ignoring those effects while attacking. Trunks key reduction would do nothing to him / Ultra Gogeta Blue main wouldn't break cards, etc. I don't really know if we would get specifically a new mechanic with this new character. I mean, there's a good possibility we do. When it comes to like these big time Ultra characters, of course, last year with Super Vegeta, we got a counter, right? His blast counter engage. With Gogeta Blue, we had his sort of like blast, the better version of the blast counter engage, right? I guess it does sort of make sense that this Vegeta Blue would have some kind of new mechanic as well. So what would I like to see? I would like to see, honestly, this might sound a little bit controversial, but I would actually like to see something similar to what we see from those two characters that I just mentioned, Super Vegeta and Gogeta Blue, because I think we need to see more of an uptick in the power. Like this, again, this might sound controversial. We need to see an uptick in the amount of power creep defensively. I think offensively, we've sort of gotten away from, all these different effects, and we have a character, Goku and Frieza right now, who are just so one-dimensionally strong, and just they do a lot of damage and they have cover and all, and you can't really do much about it, right? So if we had a character that's able to have a gauge or a new mechanic that, maybe just nullifies some part of their kit that allows them not to just completely decimate everything. Like maybe, what about a mechanic where you can't take over a certain percentage of your health and damage, like once during a fight or something? Like maybe there's a mechanic where like Vegeta Blue would start with his unique gauge full, and in an instance where he would have taken over 40% of his HP, he then, instead of taking damage, doesn't take any damage at all. And it's once only. And then once that mechanic triggers, then your gauge gets expired and that's it. You only have it once per match. Maybe he can like refill it as the last man standing or something like that, but that could be an interesting mechanic because you could use it against Rising Rush. You could use it against like a Goku and Frieza Blue card where everyone on your team would have died otherwise. So I think that could be something cool that we could see from that. All right, next question. What Saga campaigns would I like to see in the next year? Definitely my number one choice would be Dragon Ball Saga. I think Dragon Ball Saga is probably the most neglected saga that exists, besides like really small ones. Like Dragon Ball Saga, think about how big Dragon Ball Saga actually is. And you know what I'll throw in there as well? I'll throw in the 23rd World Martial Arts Tournament with Piccolo Jr. and Goku as well. That entire, just from episode 1 of Dragon Ball all the way till the end of the 23rd World Martial Arts Tournament, I'll lump that all into Dragon Ball Saga. I know Dokkan doesn't technically count the 23rd World Tournament as Dragon Ball Saga, but I'll count it as Dragon Ball Saga. So I think that would be my number one pick for sure. Of course, me being biased, I would love to see a Frieza Saga campaign. I honestly, there really aren't that many where I wouldn't like to see them. Like, what would I not like to see? I would not like to see a Universe Survival Saga campaign. I think I'm Universe repped out for the year. I don't think we need to get any more Universe reps buffs for the rest of the year. I'd be down. I mean, we're getting a Goku Black Part 3 of this anniversary right now. By the way, I should also mention I'm recording this video on Sunday, July 9th. So we do not have any information about the Part 3 character. I mean, obviously it's going to be Vegeta Blue, but we don't have any information about the specifics of what's coming out yet. I don't think it'll be Tournament of Power. I don't think we're going to be getting Goku Black Saga. I don't think they could make an entire saga out of the Universe 6 versus 7 tournament. I'm just thinking Dragon Ball Super. Like, what could we actually get? Yeah, we can't do... I mean, basically every single like main arc, I don't really know if we could... I mean, Resurrection F, I guess. They could do one. A Resurrection F saga, but then it would be so obvious what characters we'd get, right? Like, the Majin Buu saga is so big, people couldn't tell, like, 100% what we were going to get. I mean, it was kind of obvious if we thought about it. Like, Goku and Vegeta, and then obviously the Ultra would have been Kid Buu, who that character fights against. ROF, I guess, could work, right? We get a Part 1 LF. Maybe it's... I guess it could be either one. Part 1 is going to be LF Golden Frieza, and then Part 2 could be an Ultra, I guess, the first Ultra tag character with, like, I don't know, Goku and Vegeta, where Goku dies and Vegeta takes over as a... Maybe it's a revival, actually. Goku dies and then Vegeta takes over as the second life. Something like that. But you could reverse it. You could make Goku and Vegeta the LF and then Frieza the Ultra as well. What was the most fun meta for me? It's a tough question because there's been a lot of metas in this game. Just off the top of my head, there was a very fun period during the first anniversary, and it sort of continued all the way until we got to New Year's. So basically from June, I mean, technically May 31st of 2019, all the way up until like the end of December of 2019. That span of time was really, really good. Yeah, there was one blip in there. That blip was the LF Namek Goku release. There were some issues with that. I think we all know how that went if you were playing back then. LF Namek Goku, they just straight up made a mistake with the unit. I mean, the game didn't support his counter mechanic in a healthy way, and they fixed it. So there was a very short period of time where that Namek Goku like was a really bad time in the game. But I would say the period from the first anniversary all the way until the end of that year, December 2019, was a really good meta because you had a lot of teams that were viable, and there wasn't like one character that was super dominant. Of course, Super Vegeta was the best character in the game on release during the first anniversary, but you know, we soon got a counter for him in the form of Yellow Full Power Frieza, and then we got other characters down the line who are also, you know, sort of competing on that same level. So that was a really, really fun time, I think, for the game to be playing as you know, any team you wanted to, honestly. What's been your favorite time in Legends as a whole? Launch, somewhere in the middle, or now? Oh, this is Brad's question. Okay, cool. This is tough to answer. There's been a lot of like really fun times. There's been a lot of not so fun times. This is tough. Like, I have to pick my one favorite time to be playing the game. I will tell you guys this has probably been the most hype time to be playing the game. I don't know if I've seen as much excitement shown from the fan base towards the game as I have during this anniversary. The 5th year anniversary, I would say, yeah, it has easily just been the best celebration ever. So I mean, this could be the best time ever. Honestly, I think it's going to depend on the Part 3 character. Again, it's pretty obvious it's going to be Vegito Blue, but we'll see. We'll see how people take to it. We'll see what kind of design they give him. We'll see how cool he is. I'm assuming they're going to knock it out of the park, because since the end of Legends Festival with Blue Gogeta, I think almost every single release that they've put out has been really aesthetically good, and design-wise, they've been pretty good. Pretty good. Not the greatest. I mean, we've had some blips. Like, I think Ultra Rose for me has been sort of like I don't want to call it a miss, but it's been questionable. And then Ultra Kid Buu has been sort of questionable. We'll see. If Dragon Ball Legends manages to get to its 6th year anniversary, which it will, I don't really anticipate this game going away anytime soon. What would be your preferred units to headline parts 1, 2, and 3? Basically, what characters would you personally want to headline a hypothetical 6th year anniversary? This is a tough question because we're a year away. And I think my answer to this would depend on what we get for Legends Fest this year. Because, I mean, it's basically the same celebration. I mean, you just take a look at how the format is constructed for the anniversary and for Legends Festival. They're basically the same celebration, just twice per year, right? They're the two biggest celebrations per year. So my answer will change depending on what we get for Legends Festival. But in terms of what characters we could get, I mean, at this point, we've pretty much exhausted all the big mega hype moments from the original series, from Dragon Ball Z, GT, and Super. Again, I think they can do some Dragon Ball stuff. I think a Kid Goku LF could work for like part 2. I don't think he could work for part 1, and certainly not for part 3. But I think a Kid Goku LF, that he did against Demon King Piccolo, could work for part 2, especially if they give us double LF banners again, like they did for this year. Like, if they give us an LF Kid Goku and an LF Demon King Piccolo for part 2 of the anniversary next year, I don't think that's a bad part 2. Again, part 2 is not like the pinnacle of hype ever. It's relatively hype units that would come out then, but I think that's sufficient. I do. A double LF banner featuring Kid Goku and Demon King Piccolo for part 2 of anniversary. I wouldn't be opposed to that. Obviously, I think part 1 and part 3 would have to be a little bit more hype than those characters, but in terms of a part 2, I'd be okay with that. Part 1 would be the headlining character, right? Honestly, my answer would be Beast Gohan. I would want to see a Beast Gohan that has some original animations, right? Because at this point, we have pretty much all the main animations from Beast Gohan. He doesn't really do much in the movie. He's in the movie for like 2 minutes, right? So it's kind of like Super Gogeta from Fusion Reborn. Super Gogeta does not do a lot of stuff in the movie, but Legends has found a way to make multiple different characters of him, and he looks pretty good in every single iteration they've done. I put Beast Gohan as 1, Kid Goku and Demon King Piccolo dual LF banners as part 2. And then the Ultra for part 3, this would just completely depend on what they do for Legends Festival. I could see it being UI Goku. I could. UI Goku Ultra for part 3. Think about how insane that anniversary would be. Beast Gohan part 1. Well, actually, I guess I have to think about this, because would they do another Beast Gohan LLF? They could, but it would have to be a transforming character, I think. Like a transforming Ultimate Gohan. I mean, I guess they technically held off on Ultimate Gohan for a reason, maybe, right? Because a lot of people were thinking they would give us a banner unit Ultimate Gohan as part of this anniversary when we got the hint. Instead, they gave us a base Gohan. Huh. Yeah. Okay, so actually, I'm going to revise this. Part 1 would be LF Beast Gohan, but it's transforming from Ultimate to Beast. That's what my part 1 would be. Part 2 would be Kid Goku and Demon King Piccolo, and then part 3 would be Ultra Instinct Goku. But again, that would change depending on what we get for Legends Festival. I think Legends Festival has a really good shot of giving us an Ultra Gogeta, Super Saiyan 4 Gogeta. Because that's another big candidate we could get as well. All right, that was a long answer, but I had to think about that. How would I feel if alongside gauntlets for Zenkai units, we got a separate gauntlet where the unit that is receiving a Zenkai, we get one where the unit is the boost unit, and you get enough souls to fully soul boost them to Zenkai 3 to match the actual gauntlet? Sure, I don't think I'd be opposed to that. I mean, it depends on how big of an issue Zenkai souls are. which I don't know how big of an issue that is for most people, but for me, it's obviously not an issue. I mean, as long as you run the Zenkai Soul event every day, I mean, it's what you just skip the stage 3 times every day. And I haven't really had an issue with obtaining these souls. You can also get the souls from co-op, the dual coins. But I wouldn't really, sure, it just makes it easier, so I'd be okay with that. What is my favorite unit in the game, not in terms of just kit, but everything? Card art, animations, etc. I think my favorite card art in the game, it's probably a tie. I always liked the green golden Frieza card art. Like, it's just so good looking. It looks like a portrait, like it looks like a painting. It looks really, really good. I also really like Ultra Gogeta Blue's card art. I think when you look at it in its full, like the full screen version of the card art, like they have the background and everything in there too. They did a really good job with that. Animation wise, that's tough. Animation wise, I mean, again, Ultra Gogeta Blue has really good animations. Ultra Rose. I mean, it's going to be a lot of Ultra characters because they clearly put in more effort to Ultra character animations than they do for most other units. Ultra Rose's ultimate, I mean, it's one of the best looking ultimates in the game. It's not even an LF, but it looks like it's an LF. That's how good it looks. We'll see how Vegito Blue looks. He might be up there as well. Do I think in any point of time summonable Ultras could get unique equipments or platinum equipments? Yes, I do. Do I think they're going to get them soon? Probably not, because they haven't given us an LF unique equipment for a long time, and I think those are probably going to be what they would more so gear towards, but we'll see. How do I think Legends should approach designing units and buffing tags to always have a more diverse meta? And am I on board with Legends buffing a single tag for 3 to 4 months straight, even if it's a newly added tag? So I guess I should just address the fact that he mentioned newly added tag. I don't think they're going to be adding new tags that often. I think the addition of the Universe Reps tag this year was just them realizing that they screwed up heavily last year. Because basically what they tried to do last year is they tried to have Universe Survival Saga be their tag for like UI Goku's team. Because we got Ultra Blue Kaioken Goku, and then we go into the anniversary. No, sorry, let me rephrase this. We got LF Jiren, then we got Ultra Blue Kaioken Goku, and then we go into the anniversary, and then we got Ultra Instinct Goku, the red one, right? So that didn't work. And then they obviously thought that, you know, we have like Universe Survival Saga, we have Rival Universe, we have, you know, all these individual universe tags, Universe 11, Universe 2, Universe 6. Let's just make an all-encompassing Universe Reps tag. And obviously that worked, but I'm not a huge fan of how they went about buffing the tag. And the main reason for that is because, yes, of course, the tag is ridiculous right now. They gave us LF17, they gave us Ultra Hit, they gave us Survival Goku, they gave us Goku and Frieza, they gave us Jiren, they gave us Kyoei, like this list just keeps going on and on. Zenkai Evolution Blue Vegeta, they gave us Zenkai Purple UI Goku. Like the list does not stop. My problem with them devoting so much time and resources into the one tag is at some point the tag has so many good units that they're not all able to make the team. And so what happens when you have a tag that has so many good units that not a lot of those good units are able to make the team? They just become not, like, they just lose a lot of their value, right? So for example, if instead of giving us, you know, 12 really good characters for Universe Reps, they'd only given us 8, and then the remaining 4 characters they devoted to a different team. That different team would have actually had a better fighting chance of competing with this Universe Reps tag. You see what I'm saying? So basically, like, I don't know, let's just say Evolution Blue Vegeta. I actually don't think Evolution Blue Vegeta is that good right now. I think he can be useful on Universe Reps, but I just don't think he's going to be good enough to be used over the main core of the team. But if Evolution Blue Vegeta, like for a Zenkai character, if Evolution Blue Vegeta Zenkai was instead a different LF character that worked for a different team, but they were just as good as Evolution Blue Vegeta was, they could have actually been usable on a different team because that other team wouldn't have had as many good options as Universe Reps would have had. I think you can say the same thing about like Revival UI Goku. If Revival UI Goku never released, but instead of him, they came out with like, I don't know, an LF for like Vegeta Clan instead, then Vegeta Clan would have had a really powerful character that they would still be using today because they wouldn't have all these options that Universe Reps did. So these, like, I think they should have spent more time devoting resources and development time to other tags rather than just Universe Reps for the first 5 months of the year, because I think they would have benefited more from that. Basically what I'm trying to say with this is the tag every time, so the tag is really good, right? So every incremental buff the tag is getting less marginal value than if you would have buffed a different tag that is really bad. Like if they would have buffed Vegeta Clan or like Dragon Ball Saga that has nothing with a character as good as like Revival UI Goku, think about how much that would have helped the team. A lot more than Universe Reps because they already have a ton of good units. So that's my point there. I think, sure, they really wanted to invest in the tag because they knew the anniversary was going to be surrounding the tag, but I don't know. It does not feel like that was the best play for the game, in my opinion. All right, let's keep going here. Let me try and decipher this. Do you have fun playing Dokkan? I think he's trying to say, do you have more fun playing Dokkan than Legends? A lot of players just stand there waiting to get a PV all the time. Makes the game boring, in my opinion. I mean, there's a lot you can... This is a funny image. He put the Dokkan orb field in Legends. I do think there's a problem with passive play being objectively better in Legends than being proactive with the game. And that's exactly, that would link back to my earlier point that I made, that I think a lot of that stems from Perfect Vanish just being too strong. Yeah, there's ways you can sort of combat that by tap blasting a lot and like tackling and all this stuff and moving into mid-range and close range. But I think the main culprit is Perfect Vanish. Do I still have fun playing Legends? Of course. Like, I play so often. If I didn't have fun, you know how bad my mental health would be. I just didn't enjoy the game. I enjoy both games. I enjoy Dokkan. I enjoy Legends. I think they're completely different games. I play them at different times. When I like, if I'm like traveling and like I'm in like public transportation, I'll play Dokkan. If I'm at home and I'm watching something on TV, I can hop on Legends at the same time, stuff like that. So I mean, they're just different games that are meant to be utilized at different times, in my opinion. All right, what is your personal favorite aspect of Dragon Ball Legends and why? That's a very broad question. Personal favorite aspect of Legends. I mean, I just like that it's an interactive game that requires like actual... That's the best way to describe this. A game that requires that you put thought into what you're doing instead of just clicking random buttons. Like you can just click random buttons and there's instances where you win. I mean, trust me, I fought a lot of people that just press random buttons. Full screen ultimate, full screen rush, full screen blue card. And sometimes it works out. But in order to get to a level where you're fighting people that actually know what they're doing and to be able to effectively play the game at a high level, you have to actually know what you're doing, and you have to know the character's kits. You have to be knowledgeable on how the game works, what the mechanics are. Okay, I'm fighting Vegeta and Trunks. I know they reduce your ki by 80 when they get to half HP. I'm going to make sure I switch out to a different character that gives me ki on switching when I get them to half HP so that I can continue the combo. Then he's going to switch into Gogeta, who has a cover change against Strike and Blast, so I want to make sure that I go into a character who has cover nullification, or I want to drop the combo. There's a lot of decisions that have to go through your mind every second or two, right, when you're playing. And I think for a mobile game to capture that is pretty nice. So that's I think my favorite aspect of the game. What is the biggest mistake Legends ever made? I mean, this is easy. You guys might think this is a difficult question, but this is easy. This is an easy one. I'm gonna let you pause the video right now, and I want you guys to go down into the comments and tell me what you think the biggest mistake Legends ever made was. I'll give you 3 seconds. 1, 2, 3. Okay. The answer is Zenkai Awakening. That is easily the biggest mistake this game's ever made. It's not even close. Not even close at all. The reason why Zenkai Awakening is such a big problem, if you guys were around when Zenkai Awakening first came out, I remember making multiple rant videos. And I'm not usually somebody to make a rant video, right? Back in the day, I made a couple because there was a time period where a lot of the decisions that just seemingly made no sense. It was during the COVID era, so I think a lot of the things that were going wrong with the game were probably indirectly some kind of result of the COVID pandemic, but I don't know. But it was like so basically, like I was talking about this earlier, the first anniversary, which was the end of May 2019 to the end of that year, December of 2019, starting from that point, the end of December 2019, if you look at, I think, a lot of people's sentiment surrounding the game from that point all the way until like Legends Fest 2021. So we're talking like a full 2 years, a full 2-year span of time, basically. I think the 3rd year anniversary was actually pretty good, so I'm going to sort of ignore that portion. So we had a 2-year span, with the exception of like a few months in the middle of 2021. That was not good for this game. And if you look at what happened at the end of 2019, what happened? They introduced Zenkai Awakening. And we had about a full year's worth of time going from 2020 January all the way to Legends. The first Legends Festival ever was 2020, the end of the year in December. The game was just completely and utterly dominated by Zenkai units, with the exception of Vegito Blue. Right? Vegito Blue came out for the anniversary. He was utterly broken and ridiculous for like, 2 months? And then Red Gohan came out, and yeah, that was the end of the game for about a year. Because we got Green Beerus Zenkai at the beginning of the year. Best unit of the game, no questions asked. Then we had Zenkai Blue Cooler, who came out later on. He was like about as good as Beerus was. They were just both the undisputed best units in the game. No questions asked. Then we move into the anniversary, where we have Vegito Blue, who again I think was best unit of the game, no questions asked, which was what an anniversary character should have been, which is fine, but I mean, he was just a little bit oppressive. I think a lot of people would agree with that. Then we move into Zenkai 18. Best unit, I think it was Zenkai 18 first. No, actually, it might have been Gohan first. I think it actually was Gohan first. Best unit in the game, no questions asked. Then we move on to Zenkai 18, who was like second best unit in the game, no questions asked. And then we continue all the way with Gohan, all the way past the end of the year. We pass Legends Fest. Yeah, UI Goku was nice. Gogeta Blue was nice. Broly was nice. We blow past all of that. We go to the 30th anniversary. They give us Purple Revival Gohan, who makes that Red Gohan even better. We keep going. And then they said, okay, we have enough. We introduced the featured boost system. We're just going to knock this guy out of the game. And then we got Legends Fest that year. And that's when I think Red Gohan finally fell off, was when we got Legends Festival 2021 in combination with the featured boost system. So that was basically a 2-year span of time where Zenkai has just completely ruined the game. And I would even argue right now, I don't like the way Zenkai's work in this game. I don't. I think essentially needing Zenkai Awakenings as bench characters for the best teams, it's just, I don't like the system. Because basically what it means is if you don't have a ton of Zenkai buffs for your characters, at least for your main damage dealing units, you guys know how much more I don't know if the best word is. You guys know how much more how much less of an issue, I guess the best way to describe it. You guys know how much less of an issue Goku and Frieza would be if they didn't have like 4 Zenkai buffs every match? It would be a lot better. It would be a lot easier to deal with. A lot of times we see really good characters that were designed really well and have really good kits not perform to the level we would have expected because they just don't have access to the prime Zenkai buffs that a lot of these other units have access to. It's not the unit's fault. It's just, for whatever reason, I don't know how they choose Zenkai characters, but we have characters like the Gammas, who basically don't have a way of getting a Zenkai buff. I mean, yeah, you can get like the yellow Zenkai EXL on the bench, I guess, if you're running androids, but that's it. One that's very, very prominent is Blue 17 has never had a Blue 17 has the free-to-play 21 who you're not putting on your bench. The fact that Blue 17 is as good as he was and still is as good as he is without a Zenkai ability, that is nuts to me. That is like the one exception to the rule. Every other top tier unit that has ever come out in this game over the course of the past year, they have been leveraging Zenkai buffs because it's a necessity almost. And so that is an issue in my opinion. Even though Zenkai characters are not as good in actual combat as they were back when they first came out, now we're seeing the issue where you basically are forced to have a Zenkai bench in order for these major, top tier units to be the best in the game. So that's a very long roundabout answer to the question, but yeah, the TLDR, biggest mistake Legends ever made was introducing Zenkai Awakening, and I still think it is the biggest problem today. Okay, well, we're already 30 minutes into this. What would I have done differently about the anniversary, units or events? And then how do I genuinely feel about Piccolo? Okay, yeah, fantastic. We'll have to also hear some ratings. All right, so number one, what would I have done differently about the anniversary, units, or events? I have a few nitpicks about the anniversary, but honestly, I really do think they handled this pretty well. The one thing I would say for sure regarding like events is Hoi Poi was pretty bad this year. I think a lot of people would agree that the Hoi Poi coin system this year is not good at all. For some reason, they decided to remove a lot of the good rewards from Hoi Poi, so either just make the pool of rewards better or bring back the old step system of Hoi Poi. I don't really think the rewards are linked to the step up system. Like, I think they could just put the same rewards into the pool right now. I don't think we need the steps, but I mean, the steps give incentive to complete the round and you get like the extra bonus rewards, right? But yeah, Hoi Poi definitely not as good. I would have made that a little bit better. I think it was a bit weird in terms of timing. Like I think they like switched the weeks for Zenkai UI Goku and the free-to-play 13 and Cooler to come out, because what happened was Cooler and 13 dropped and the co-op wasn't reset yet, so we couldn't limit break them at all. It was weird. Not a big deal, but I mean, I would have just reversed those weeks, give us UI Goku Zenkai a week earlier and then give us those free-to-play units a week later, so it lines up with the co-op reset. And then what I guess the last thing I would say is we don't know how this is going to work yet, but I probably wouldn't have Zenkai'd Sword of Hope Trunks this anniversary. I probably would have Zenkai'd the yellow Gogeta Blue to line up with Vegito Blue. So we'd have Ultra Vegito Blue come out, and on the same day, we could have had LF Yellow Gogeta Blue get a Zenkai Awakening. That would have been sick. Think about how insane that would be. That's the only thing I would have done differently. Those three things. I don't really think this anniversary was like mishandled in any way. I think they did a really good job overall so far. How do I genuinely feel about Piccolo? I think I gave my thoughts about him in my top 10 video. I don't really have many different opinions that I have right now than when I made that video, so you can go watch that. I think he's a solid character all around. He's not really doing one thing exceptionally well, but he's doing a lot of different things decently well, but at a high level. So I think I still like the character, and I still think people generally underrate him. Thoughts on a Majin Vegeta Ultra as the next Ultra after part 3 of the anniversary? I don't think it's going to happen because we just got the Majin Buu Saga campaign, but I would like that. Majin Vegeta, definitely an ultra worthy character for sure. I could see that. Okay, that's a Dokkan question. Let's move on. What meta that had a dominant unit do you think was the least toxic? For me, it has to be Ultra Gogeta Blue. The least toxic? I mean, let me think about this. The least toxic. It's definitely not Blue Broly. It's definitely not Green Bardock. It's not Blue Ribrianne. It's not... Purple Broly. Yeah, Purple Broly was toxic. Yellow Cell was not that toxic. No, sorry. Purple probably was toxic. Yellow Cell was not that toxic. Was Yellow Cell the best unit in the game? It was him and Purple Broly that were the two best, I think, at the time. Purple Super Vegito. Purple Super Vegito was not that toxic, but he had like the most absurd main ability ever. Like relative to when that unit dropped, he probably had the single best main ability ever. Relative to the time when he came out. Like, you just deleted the buffs of the enemy and they couldn't do anything. Like, their attacks did 0 damage. They couldn't tank anything. Like, because everyone's buffs back in the day were cancelable. So you just canceled everyone's buffs. Heal to full. Drew his ultimate. Gained ki. Like, all this stuff that he was getting card draw speed. Like, all that stuff he was doing in the day. Like, units didn't do that. That was kind of toxic, I guess. I don't know. I would probably say Yellow Cell or Purple Super Vegito. But a lot of that has to do with the fact that there were just a lot less mechanics back in the day per unit. So there was a lot less room to be toxic. I'm not going to react to that now. Which anniversary / festival character would you like to get a Zenkai? Personally, I would love Super Saiyan 4 Gogeta or Gogeta Blue, not the purple one. Yeah. Again, like I mentioned earlier, if there was something I could change about the anniversary, I guess one thing I would change, it would have been to give the yellow Gogeta Blue Zenkai alongside releasing Ultra Vegito Blue. I think that would have resulted in a lot more hype, honestly. 2 questions. 1, do you think the buff for Goku and Frieza was overtuned? So there's a different way that I like to look at this, and that is that I think it was overtuned in the sense that a lot of the mechanics that they already had they are too strong with some of the new mechanics they got. So like, for example, I don't think they needed to have the card locking. I believe they had the card locking prior to their buff. To me, that's a really toxic ability. Like the card locking, the card destruction, and the main ability ceiling, and the key reduction. Like, that's a little bit too much. I think there's some aspects of the buff, like the one that I always talk about that they definitely did not need was going type neutral against blues and ultimates. That's too strong for them, I think. So I guess my answer would be kind of in a way, but I'm not in the camp that a lot of other people are, where it's like, oh my god, they're way too overtuned. Like, I actually don't think so. But there were a few mechanics that they were given that I probably would not have given them. So I guess my answer is going to be yes to that. What special ability do I think the Part 3 anniversary character will have? Yeah, for him to be the best character in the game. Like I said, I think I mentioned this in the beginning of this video. It's already been like almost 40 minutes, but as a new mechanic, I would like to see like a unique gauge that basically gives the character some kind of defensive barrier. And the barrier would basically allow the character to take no damage if he would have received over 40% or whatever the amount, like 30, 40, 50% of his health in one hit. So that would be against Rising Rush. That would be against like a really powerful blue card like Goku and Frieza, a really powerful ultimate. That would be a really strong tool, I think, for him to have. All right, next question. Will unique equipment for LF units make a return anytime soon? I'd personally love a unique equipment for LF Gogeta Blue. Maybe a Zenkai is better. Yeah, at this point, I think a lot of the older LF characters like Gogeta Blue definitely would need a Zenkai, I think, to compete at this point. But I hope they do. I'm a little bit confused as to why they have not given any LF a unique equipment since we got, I think the last one was Merge Zamasu during Legends Fest, I think, and that was completely, they completely botched that one. Honestly, if it was up to me, I would probably just scrap the okay, here's my thing on this. I don't know what kind of development time goes into making equipment, but if it was between, like, if you had to choose between them continuing to make equipment for these Zenkai sparking characters or making equipment for LF characters, I would just scrap the Zenkai sparking equipment and then go back to making the LF equipment, because it just makes much more of an impact on the game. So that's what I would say. Hopefully we do see those equipment come back and make a resurgence soon, because those actually had decent impacts on the game, unlike the sparking and unique equipment do. All right, we'll do a few more here. This anniversary was good content, but content-wise. But what do you think about the server issues? It's crazy this is happening during anniversary. Well, I would actually disagree. I would say it makes sense that this is happening during anniversary because the reason why the servers are kind of slow, and I will, yeah, for sure, like I could feel it. I know that the servers are pretty slow because it takes a long time to load in between menus and stuff like that. And you guys can let me know down below if you guys also have been experiencing the slow menus and like the slow loading during the anniversary, because I definitely have been feeling it myself, which is definitely annoying. I agree, but I think it makes sense that it's happening during the anniversary because there's way more people playing right now. Like I'm pretty sure the game has its most active players ever right now. And that's just a pure result of the anniversary being good. So yeah, it's annoying. I get it. It's not fun for me to wait for the loading times as well. PvP sometimes is lagging. I'm not sure if it's related to the server issues, but I mean, it's a result of the game being successful. So I'm not going to say I'm okay with the lag, but I understand why it's happening. Do you think giant characters such as Cell Max will ever be playable / controllable in the game, or will they only be kept to specific animations? So at this point, I think they've probably tried everything they can to get giant characters into the game. I mean, we don't have one yet. We have Hirudegarn as an animation from Tapion. We have Cell Max as an animation from Magenta. We have the Great Ape Legendary Finish animation from Great Ape Vegeta from the Saiyan Saga. I would say that at this point, 5 years in, we don't have one yet. There's always a chance we can get one down the line, but I'm going to lean more towards it's probably not likely that we get playable giant characters in the game. It's a bit unfortunate because I think they could do it if they really wanted to. I think there's ways they could work around the limitations. Let's just, I mean, not direct. Maybe they're not going to be directly playable, but like, let's just say, for example, I don't know, like Magenta uses a green card and like Cell Max comes out from the side of the screen and punches the enemy. Like that could be something that they do. Like you wouldn't be able to directly control Cell Max, but there are certain animations that you could trigger on your own to happen like that, which I think could be interesting. So we'll see. I would say in terms of being a fully playable character, like you can just move them around on your screen and like attack normally like you would with any other character, probably pretty unlikely, I would say, unfortunately. What do I think is the biggest issue with the game right now? So I made this comment back when Kid Buu came out. I'm going to reserve judgment on this until we see how Vegito Blue is designed, but I think one of the bigger issues is how fun it feels to play against certain characters. What's the best way to describe this? So the two examples I use the most when talking about this are Ultra Rose and Ultra Kid Buu. I think both of those characters just feel bad to fight. Like, even if they weren't as good as they were, the mechanics that they have just don't facilitate a fun environment to play the game in. The fact that Rose's blue card basically has, what is it, a 40% chance to paralyze you, and then from that point forward, you just straight up have a chance to lose the match instantly, is not fun. Kid Buu landing his green card on you when a lot of times it's unavoidable is not fun, because then he just continues to combo you for 10 million years, then he's double card draw speed, then he's locking you in with the blue card. Like, there's a lot of unfun mechanics associated with both those units. And so I think something that they have to look at, and then honestly, you could make the same case with like Ultra Hit too, right? Ultra Hit's time skip, I don't particularly find that to be fun to play against. I think it's a little bit less toxic, at least in my opinion, than Rose's blue card and Kid Buu's green card. Obviously, it's not balanced, and there's a lot of instances where it won't be fun to play against. But there's an aspect of the game where even if it's not related directly to balance, they have to think about how fun does it feel to play against these characters, even if you're not the person using them, because that matters, right? If you're somebody who doesn't have the newest character and you're fighting the newest character every match, and the newest character is not fun to fight against, that's going to impact your view of the game, and it's going to determine whether or not you continue playing the game. That I think is the biggest issue right now. But honestly, I think the game is doing pretty well. I don't want to just harp on like the negative aspects of the game forever, because I think it actually is doing pretty well right now. All right, we'll make this the final question here. We're about to hit 45 minutes. Do I think another Orange Piccolo question. Do I think Orange Piccolo should get buffed? And if so, how would I buff him? Personally, I personally think he's strong, but he does seem to want one more tool and dies in 1 to 2 cards almost every time. So first things first, I don't think Orange Piccolo will be getting a Goku and Frieza style buff. I don't think, honestly, if I'm going to be honest with you guys, I don't think we'll see that again ever. I don't. Maybe like once in the next 3 to 4 years. We might see it one time. I would get this idea out of your head that this is going to be something that we're going to be seeing decently often, because it's not. I think that the way they help Orange Piccolo is they introduce, because I think his main team is regen more so than movies, but either one, they just introduce characters that synergize and work well with him on those teams. Maybe they give us some green Zenkai buffers for movies or for regen that would help him. Maybe they give us characters specifically that help Piccolo characters. Maybe they give us characters that specifically help I don't know. I always talk about this, but Ultra Demon King Piccolo is probably my most wanted unit right now, my most wanted character right now. Maybe an Ultra Demon King Piccolo releases for regen. He's red. He fills the role of Red Cell, because right now the team that I usually use with Piccolo, Orange Piccolo, is regen with Kid Buu and Red Cell. Red Cell is good, but he's not on the level of like Goku and Frieza and all these ridiculous characters we're seeing now. So a potential red Ultra Demon King Piccolo, top 3 unit in the game, would be really good for this Piccolo, especially if he worked well with green cards, because then you could just feed him green cards from Piccolo and then he would just destroy people. So there's other ways to directly buff units. Well, I guess not directly buff units, but indirectly buff units than just by giving them buffs like Goku and Frieza. Like better equipment they could release for him. They could give him more Zenkai buffs. They could release characters that like literally buff Piccolo units specifically through their unique ability or something like that. So that's something I would expect to see from them if they want this guy to be somewhat usable moving forward. Because let's be honest, as good as I think he is, and I still do think he's like pretty decently good, we're only going to get stronger units moving forward. And it's not like this character is like crushing everything in sight, which I kind of wanted him to, as one of the new main transformations for one of the main characters of the series that hasn't seen an upgrade since First Form Cell. Right? I would have liked for him to be a bit better. I'm not going to admit that I'm not going to sit here and tell you that I think he's as good as he should have been, because I think he should have been better. But I don't think he's as bad as most people are making him out to be. So let's see if they buff him. I think they will take notice of some of the stats that are on the back end. Like they have access to stats. Like how often are you, like what is your likelihood that you're going to win with this character on your team? I think is a stat that they have access to, right? How often are you going to win a match if you use a green card with this character? Like what's your win percentage? How much does it go up if you use a green card with this character? How much does it go down if you don't use a green card? Like, I think they have stats. I think they do have stats like that. Because a lot of times games that are competitive, I don't want to call Legends a competitive game, but games that have PvP, sides to it, PvP angles to it, I think the developers on the back end have access to a lot of those stats that are able to show you and illustrate what mechanics are strong and what mechanics maybe are not as strong, and then that can give them information down the road in developing new characters. So I think they should have a decent idea of where this character needs to help with, and hopefully they give us equipment or other units in the future for his teams that will help him in certain areas that they think he needs help with. So that's going to be it for this one. We're almost at 50 minutes. Unfortunately, we're only able to do, how many was that? Like how many comments did we read? Like 20? 25? That wasn't too bad. Definitely a lot of long answers, but I feel it's probably worth giving more of a detailed answer than less of a detailed answer. So let me know down below what you guys think of this. Hope you guys enjoyed, and I will see you all in the next one.